Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I am your host, Ryan Houlihan.
And I'm Angela Rockstar.
And I'm Justin Fraction.
And I'm Ian Carlos Crawford, and today we are here to discuss The Magicians Season 1, Episode 3, Consequences of Advanced Spellcasting. Before we get into the episode, though, Angela and Justin, this is your first Magicians recording. Angela, do you want to start us off with your Magician's origin? How you got into it?
I am so excited to be here speaking about the Magicians.
Angela, I feel like our friendship has been based around Buffy and the Magicians.
It's so true. That's what I was about to say. Once there was this show called Buffy and it changed my life. And then I was a sad adult and the Magicians came along and I found it on Netflix first but I watched it while it was still on live. And
that's how I did it, yeah.
I just stumbled upon it and I was like, what is this? Because I love witchy things. So I just wanted to check it out and I was like, oh my God, this is like Harry Potter with drugs and sex. It's amazing. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. And we got to meet some of them even.
Angela was so cute when we did. Angela, you are also someone from TV. You were on Big Brother, and Angela was starstruck when we did our Zoom reading with Summer Bishal and Arjun Gupta for The Wish, and it was very cute. And Angela, you fucking impressed with your costume change mid-episode.
I had to do it up because I was like, I am so fucking excited for this.
It was the combination of both of our favorite things, Buffy but doing it with magicians.
It was amazing. It was incredible.
Justin, what's your Magician's origin?
I think I saw a preview of it during the upfronts. And I love anything where people are practicing magic. If they're magic in a school, magic on a bus, it doesn't matter. I will watch it. So I had to watch this show.
Did you start from the beginning then?
Very beginning, first night. I even got that giant prize pack promo thing that they gave out. I have a sweater, a hat, a scarf, and
I love that.
Yeah, flask.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Angela, we're gonna have to go to eBay to buy them for ourselves too.
I have a fillery book that has it looks like a fillery book. I should have brought it. It looks like the first one, and then in there is a flask. So I like that.
Oh.
I just realized that this is on my wall here. Break bills.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Is that from that package?
Yeah, they sent a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I forgot that was even here.
Just showed us his
right here.
Oh shit!
Oh,
there you go.
Fillery
and Critter. A little.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
This
I didn't get the whole package, but someone gave me that.
I know, Angela. We're fucking lagging here, Angela.
Oh. I'm gonna have a shirt next time and a hat.
Yeah. Ryan, that box would be book with that would be perfect for weed. I'm ooh, I would put weed in there.
Yeah, I'm sitting here being I want the pennant so I could put it up and people will see it. And Ian's like, how do I hide drugs?
Well, Angela, have you ever read the books?
Yes, I read all three. Oh, you know what? Yes, I read them actually in the Big Brother jury house.
Oh shit, I love that.
Wow, that's pretty legit.
I brought them with me, and I didn't read them before when I was in sequester to go in. And when I got out, I was like, I have these books, and I've been wanting, because I was watching the series, and I normally don't like to read books after I've seen something because I don't want to have anybody else's influence. I like to more see if they thought what I thought after reading it than the other way around. But I did it anyway, and they're great.
Justin,
but I think the show's better.
Justin, have you read them?
No, I don't like reading, but yeah. Why not just get it out there now?
God, I feel since I feel my late 30s into 40, I have my concentration for reading is not there. I don't know what the fuck happened.
I love to read.
I do
audiobooks. So
I do like it. I do like it. It's just it takes me forever to read. I used to be able to read a book in a week when I worked at Barnes & Noble in my 20s, and now it's a month at least.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone's doing their end of year shit, when they're like, oh, I read 100 books this year. I'm like, how? How did you read that many? But okay, so we are here. A fun thing that I've been noticing is as I've been going through these episodes, I keep being like, oh, this is the episode where this happens. And then no, they're setting the thing up for the next episode. I feel like you all probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, it's this episode. And then I was like, oh wait, no, it's not. Okay. But so I do like this opening of the Dean's voice as like Julia's kind of like using her magic to like get money from an ATM, which fucking good for her. That's like the shit I would do in real life. Like
100%. 100%.
And the Dean is like 2 seconds away from saying with great power comes great responsibility, right? Like the Spider-Man line. That's what I kept waiting for.
Yeah.
I am curious, what do we all think of Julia's storyline? Because I do find it, I like it, but it's so separate sometimes. I was glad this episode it did they interacted with the other characters, but right, sometimes it feels for me a little too separate.
Well, I think that because I know what happens, it's hard to say from a place of like when I didn't know. If I felt like when I watch it, I'm like, I understand why she's off on her own doing her own thing.
Yeah.
Like she's got to go do that. But when I kind of like that there's a place outside of Brakebills where they're doing magic. I like the Hedge Witch experience. I don't know that I could, I think it adds levels, especially Marina's character.
I do like her.
Yeah.
Justin, you were about to say something?
I definitely hated Quentin at first. So I wanted more of her and Marina. And I was so happy to even have those scenes away from him because I felt like he was kind of, I eventually came to love him, but initially he was kind of whiny, and we'll get to that part later on in the show. So, yeah.
I will say I am Quentin, so I'm always like, I get it. He's depressed. He's a nerd. I get it. Like Elliot says, like, oh, I love a high-strung nerd, and I'm like, oh, Elliot would like me? That's great.
Yeah, I'm Margo, and I definitely feel like I think Quentin's fine enough, but I would bully him if I had to interact with him for too long. And not like it would be friendly. It would be friendly, but I would be like, come on.
Ryan, that again kind of is
our dynamic
relationship. Yeah.
I love Margo. I feel like I'm Elliot out of anyone.
Oh, you are Elliot.
You are.
Angela Rockstar is right.
I feel like.
Justin, who are you?
I am Julia, I guess. I'm going to have to go
I
with
would
that.
have said Julia maybe too.
She's
doing it on your
so
own.
hard.
Fucking renegade.
I would say like between Julia and Katie, because I feel like Justin, I think of you as like,
oh, that's right. I almost forgot about Katie. That was my favorite.
Yeah, you are level 50, Justin.
Yeah.
No.
The Dean tells them like magic can, change you, and then takes off his glasses and has. Did I miss when they explain why he has eyeballs again?
I think it's like they're definitely magically back, but I don't think did we get like how he got them back yet? No, we just see the scars.
Yeah.
It was like, I think, a surprise when he just pulled off his glasses and they were still there. But no, I don't think they showed us that. Even the first time around, I think I wondered what happened.
Okay, just like some magic thing. Because we know he like can't see still, but like they are there. But I also feel like that's probably easier for show budget to like, yeah, he's blind and the eyes are pulled out, but the eyes are there. That's like a lot easier than like whatever they had to do for his eyes to not be there.
Yeah.
So post credits, we learn, which is something I have watched this show a lot of times. I forget every time. He's like, oh, you're going to find your area of expertise. I remembered Penny's, and that's it. I didn't remember anyone else having like,
I love Quentin's.
And I mean this, clearly I love The Magicians. I mean this in like the most loving way. It reminds me of Charmed, where like they did have their area of expertise, but like sometimes they didn't. And it was just like, they all do a magic. Like, but yeah, so we get Penny, what is it? Oh, then we cut to Julia. So Julia is kind of navigating this episode. We like see a little bit of her navigating her relationship with her boyfriend who knows nothing about magic. And and the like head witches. So we see that she like calls her boyfriend, she'll be late. Pete tells her the thing of like, you gotta watch out, like, what if he follows you here? And she's like, I'm being safe, that would never happen. And then we learn she's not being that safe.
She's being risky.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in and say, like, magic as drugs or whatever, not ever, like, wrong podcast for this, not really my thing.
Yes, I don't always, it didn't land that much with Willow. I loved the outcome of Dark Willow. She was awesome, but like, it's kind of like Adam
They're
Sass.
either drugs or they're not. And
Yes.
drugs aren't usually terribly useful, and magic is.
Yes.
So
that is the thing, because it's like, but no, but this is useful. Like, this is like kind of good to have, and
you could save someone's life with it. Good luck doing. I mean, I guess you could with cocaine, but it would be a really specific circumstance.
Yeah, Adam Sass would always say this about True Blood, how like the
Yeah.
metaphor of like them being like other people. It's like, but they are murderers. Like, we watch them murder people.
Could
every
we be
episode.
mermaids instead of serial killers?
Right. So yeah, we go back to break bills. Alice and Quentin are discussing their specialties. Does Alice say she's a light, what is it, light bender?
Phosphomancer.
Romancer.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, but she explains it as light. Does she say like light
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, she bends light, but the
Manipulation, maybe?
Phosphomancer.
Well, you all paid better attention than I did. God. So then they go to the physical kids' cottage. I do like that she mentions that they have like their signature cocktail, because like fucking of course Elliot and Margo would have like a signature cocktail. Like,
yes,
I feel
they
like
would.
that would, Angela, that would be like if you and I had like a movie, like, well, it's important that we have like
the signature cocktail. Trust me, everybody loves this cocktail.
And we get that they cannot get in, which like is a thing I had forgotten about that I did remember. I was like, oh right, they can't get in. I'm still not quite sure what she does. Can one of you explain what she does to get them in?
She looks like she burns a hole with her light
Yeah.
bending.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
that's
how they said, like using a magnifying glass to kill ants, and she's like, ew, no. But that's the
okay, that makes sense. They get in. I do like when Alice is like, this might actually be hard, because she's like the one that's like really good at magic. Margo asks what took so long. She's starving. They're throwing a party, and then we cut to her and Elliot cuddling, which I'm going to probably say this every episode. I love their friendship. I think it's done
love it
so
so
well,
much.
right? Like, I don't feel like I've seen a like gay guy straight girl relationship done so well to show how much they love each other, but it's not, it's literally like pure love. Like, as I feel like they are as much soulmates as like someone they would like romantically love. They are soulmates as well, like, but in like genuine friendship, family type love. And I don't know, they feel comfortable immediately. This is only episode 4 and or 3, and they feel comfortable with each other, right? Like we get it.
Yeah, and this is not bias speaking, although it could be. Summer Bishel makes this whole thing work. Like, Margo's character pulls the whole place together, tells you exactly who everybody is in every scene. She adds a lot of nuance and extra layers to everyone else's work. And I think their dynamic is the heart of the show, especially at the moment. Like, you would think it'd be Quentin and Julia. You'd be like, oh, those two from forever. But like, a lot of the times, someone you knew from high school, you might not have a great dynamic with as adults, even if you're like still in each other's circle. Whereas sometimes the people you meet at around 20, you're gonna be on that vibe forever, baby. And like, I think that they have a common language that becomes the language of the show. Like the pop culture references, the quick retorts, the like trying to snap together logic before even explaining it, just like getting it out. Like, they have this like, I don't know, deep relationship that feels like lore, which adds so much to a like magical school, you know?
Yeah.
Ryan, I think I say lore now a lot because of you. I would use it for everything.
This is like when I got Chelsea Fagan to start saying ostensibly, and she says it every other word.
But no, I think you're right. And like, I might be a little biased, but I feel like I tell Summer that all the time. Like, it's just, it is wild how immediately comfortable these two actors are with each other, right? Like
Yeah.
the acting doesn't, it feels like, oh yeah, these are people that are friends.
It's real. It's like
Yeah.
so solidly done. There, you don't question it even remotely.
Yeah.
It's
And like, you know that they are going to be ride or die for each other, right? Like even this many episodes in, you're like, oh, they're going to be fucking loyal as shit to each other. Like you just know that. And I think this is like a cute, like this reminds me of like my early 20s at a party with like one of my like best lady friends or like one of my best gay friends where it's like, oh, we're just gonna like lay together and we'll be a little drunk and like whatever. So I love that. I
Maybe we
love,
kiss. It's silly.
you know, whatever. Ryan dragged both of us. You know, whatever. And I do like that she's like, what is it with you and first year boys? And he's like, oh, hush, you're a nerd. Then we learn that Alice wants to do the spell again. And okay, I need to like, I want us to discuss this because I'm kind of like, dude, that fucking monster came in and ripped out your dean's eyeballs and murdered your other professor. I don't know that it's like the best idea, right?
The stuff that Fogg says at the beginning, it seems like it applies to Julia, but now I'm starting to think it applies to Alice too.
I think you're right. Yeah. That when you started to say that, I was like, oh, right. Yeah, maybe it does apply to Alice because and I mean, we do see that it does not work out, right? That's the end of the episode, but I was a little harder of a sell on Alice. I do love her, but this early on in the season, I was definitely more of a harder sell on her because it's like she's kind of the Hermione / Willow, but kind of not.
Yeah, it feels like in the change from the books to the TV show, it feels like we did this Julia outside the bunch thing to be like, there's another layer, there's some complication. We've grounded this in the real world. This person doesn't have every resource. Great. Love the instinct. We should have swapped Alice and Julia, where Alice wants to get in to get the information for her brother. Julia is in. Alice goes to the hedge witches to get out or whatever. And maybe like we could have a little bit more Hermione because Julia would be so excited to like soak up as much knowledge as possible. Quentin would be like, why do you know this? And she'd be like, I read all that. You didn't read all those books? I learned to spell how to read really fast. That was the first thing I did. You know, like that could have been cool. And I think it would have made more sense. But I also think like they needed these characters to meet each other a lot faster than that would have enabled. And so we couldn't do it. But this episode felt very particular. Like if we could do a face swapping spell, maybe learn from that girl who fucked up her face, we could just switch these two and move the plot along.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that at the time and we never did it. So
I can remember the first time I watched this episode being really annoyed with her. Like I remember being like,
Really?
This already feels like, what are you doing? We just did this the first episode and it like went fucking terribly. Like people were murdered.
Yeah, she's Willow in season 6 already. And it's like,
yeah,
that was quick.
Yeah. Justin, what do you think? I see you nodding your head.
I could not stand her for most of this series. The actress is great. I love her.
Yeah, she is.
And eventually I did come to love her when but here it's just the stupidity.
Right.
It's not just that. It's also she's okay with dragging other people into it. She knows what happened last time to other people. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
She's got her
But
thing
she doesn't care if
do.
what happened to her brother happens to other people or herself, which is like...
That's right. Like I'd be like, oh no, I don't want my zombie relative killing everyone. Like,
She comes from a magical family, so she's got like this weird magical entitlement. Like, you know, that this is what we're doing anyway. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm here. And because we've, as the show goes on, and even at the beginning, they say like she's from
like
this magical world. So she's probably, she gives zero fucks. Like
magical nepo baby logic.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I think like those are all good points. Because that's like the privilege of like, well, I came from this, so I know how to do it, and like, but like you don't. You're just going to school now. You're a freshman. Like,
I can drive a Mercedes. My mom has her Mercedes.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I wish there would have been some different way to get them to do this, but whatever. Yeah, I do like, Alice is drunk and then she's very much not drunk in the next scene. Cause I like that she's like looking at him and she's like, oh, your face is stupid. Oh, you're stupid. And like she tells him she's inexperienced at drinking. I always get a kick out of like people having to act drunk. And I was charmed by it, but then they go to the fountain. We learned that it's like doesn't have a bottom. Like it's like a endless.
It's a suicide fountain.
Yeah. Which, and she immediately says her brother never would have done that. There's no way he's in there.
Yeah.
Worried about the birds at that fountain. Not gonna lie to you.
They said like the psychics love it there.
Yeah. A thing that I do appreciate, like in, as I mean, like you said, Angela, they're similar, but they're not like actually that similar. But like in Harry Potter, it's like, oh, what, how did someone die? What? That's crazy. And the magicians are like, oh yeah, people fall in there all the time. Oh yeah, people die here all the time. Yeah. Like,
that's what my high school and college were like. We were like, remember that girl that died 6 months ago? I don't.
But I like that they're a little bit more realistic. Like, yeah, of course that's happening because, like, fucking of course, right? Like,
right. It's happening without magic. So
yeah,
of course it's definitely happening with magic.
Like a bunch of
I love that about the logic
years.
of the show. Yeah. And I do love that Dean Fogg was like, you want to take over the world? Go for it. We don't teach you how to do that. And someone might have a problem with you, but good luck. Like, I like that about magic.
Yeah. I think the Dean is a very good character too, as like, he's almost like chaotic neutral, right? Because like you said, Ryan, he's like, sure, go do that. I'm not teaching you how to do it, but like, not my problem.
I think we have a backup somewhere. I don't
know. Yeah. Just transport the school somewhere else or whatever. They try to do a little bit of a spell. Nothing happens. They leave. And then we see the hand come up and give them the finger, which that feels so this show. I feel like that really is like, it's creepy. There's a hand. It's maybe a zombie. And then it's just giving the fucking finger.
Yeah.
Like,
that
kind of like sums up the show, right? It's like, they're going to have something serious, maybe a little bit horror-y, but then it's going to have like something goofy.
Yeah.
Which all four of us love. We love that.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's those moments when you can feel the Buffy stuff resonate, even more than like, I mean, way more than like even the self-awareness or like the pop culture jokes. It's those little touches. And the fact that the universe is so cohesive. Like you said, stuff was happening that you were like, oh, I thought that's this episode. No, it's because there's things in the first few shots that foreshadow stuff that happens at the end. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
You're so right, Ryan. That really is like kind of like what makes sense that everyone who's covering this show for Slayerfest is also a big Buffy fan, because like it just makes sense. Every time I recommend this show to someone who also loves Buffy, I'm like, no, I promise. Like, it's a more adult, like if they were allowed to curse and be bloodier on Buffy, it would be this. Yeah. Like if it weren't on like network TV. But so then we cut to Penny and Katie, who are at this point maybe my like the least interesting, but I think they get way more interesting.
Yeah, Katie, I could never get into her story. Again, love the actress, but that's my person that I'm like,
yeah.
But I like Penny. So the more Penny is mixed in with Katie, the more I care about Katie, and the less I care about Penny. Right now, we're at like a pH neutral. Like stuff's happening, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And so to your point, Ryan, about them setting up shit, Penny confronts Quentin and is mad that he is singing Taylor Swift in his head. Which I was like, oh, it's this episode. But no, we come back to that later. Also, I like my timeline of things, my brain, last few years, I'm like, wait, Shake It Off had come out already? Like when this was out? Like that came out of the, like, that means I was working at BuzzFeed when this came out?
And I always remember that her song 22 came out when I was 22. And
I did see, I think I saw like maybe on Twitter or Instagram, like someone was like, do you want to feel old? Like Taylor Swift's, whatever her last album would have been Madonna's Ray of Light. And I was like, oh my God. like that's how long she's been famous. And it doesn't feel like that's possible, right? Like Madonna was when we were kids. And Taylor Swift was not.
Yeah, could you imagine? Basically, she put out Beyonce self-titled, basically at the same point in their careers and age or whatever, and it's like, Well, happy Super Bowl.
And it's such a weird, like, small moment, but it pays off later. And, you know, Penny's just, and I do like that Quentin's trying to be like a dude where he's like, I'm not singing that song. No, I'm not. Okay, yeah, I am. I'll try to stop singing it. Like,
Quentin's
Penny,
like mask of masculinity slowly falling off over the course of the show is delightful.
Yeah. What do you say, Angela?
I love Penny. There's a line, and I think it's in the first episode where I think it's when he first meets Katie, and he's like, yes, I would, and I would like, you know, this and that or whatever he says, and it's the smoothest thing. And she goes, "Are you reading my mind?" And he's like, "Nah," but you know, like yeah, it's just the smoothest.
Oh yeah, we would all
sold
fuck
on
Penny. Let's be
Penny. And then,
clear.
like, I mean, listen.
Oh, now Angela's gonna play coy, like, not me. Angela's a good Christian girl.
Yes. Oh, yes. No. When we were doing the reading with him, I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
he's
thing
used to
is,
it.
there's not an unattractive person on this show. Like, everyone is hot. Everyone could get it. Like, and I remember when I got my straight best friend Kevin into it, it was during lockdown, and I finally convinced our group chat to like start watching it. And he was like, "Ooh, this is really like hitting my soft spot of like hot people doing magical things. This is great." And I was like, yeah, that kind of sums up the show. They're all fucking hot. They're all doing magic.
Yeah.
So then we see Julia and
James.
Yes, James. They're arguing. He says she feels different. And so we learn that she is not being that safe. Like, he's noticing in the previous scene, she was like, oh, he's clueless. And now we learn that he is very much not clueless. Like, he is noticing something different. He like asks if, what is it? Like, she's cheating or something like that.
Yeah.
So a thing I like that I know sometimes like the internet can annoy all of us about is I do like flawed characters, right? I like that she's also kind of a dick in this episode because she's not being good to her boyfriend at all, and she's fucking gaslighting him and then flat out just like fully lying about her life by the end. And I kind of, it's like we feel bad for Julia, but also she's being shitty too. So I like that.
Yeah.
Because what does she say? Like, I've just been moody, but I'm feeling better. And it's like, well, we then see two students getting pulled into the fountain. And I have a question for the class. Was the professor lying when he's like, oh, those students, they're recovering, they're in the infirmary? Because we didn't see them get out of the fountain, and it felt like a horror movie, the way they were like clawing to get out and not getting out.
I feel like they would have just said if something happened. The professor.
That's true.
This is a school where people die all the time. Like,
Yeah.
That's true. They wouldn't have given a shit. They've been like, yeah, they're dead. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. Because right, the way they play it, like the one guy's like reaching for the edge and like pulls in, and I was like, wait, are they dead?
Yeah. If anything, they would have been like, see, this is why you're not supposed to go up to the fountain.
That's true.
We put a sign there. That's legal liability. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But anyway.
Actually, we're charging your family because we cleaned this up.
Because we had to get the bodies out.
Follow the directions.
God.
Schools in America, right?
Well. And I do like that Alice and Quentin are immediately like, fuck, that was probably us. Which, as we, even for 3 episodes in, is a theme with the show, right? They do something and it fucks up and causes a big fucking problem for them. When they go into her room, that was him? Like, what was it, like because they were enchanted, or was there like more unicorns? I couldn't quite. That's what she was like, oh, it's definitely Charlie.
Oh, I thought that was more like there was a bunch of horses.
Yeah. He
Okay.
left them.
Okay.
I think so.
Sure. Because I thought he like
needs to open an Etsy store.
Seriously?
Right. All the plastic
killing.
cords. Retire.
It'd be so much easier running my Etsy shop if I could do a magic.
Flea market.
And then they go back to Visitor Kid's cottage. She's definitely like, it must be Charlie. I do like her and Quentin talking and Margo being like, oh, what are you talking about? Are you talking about what happened to the fountain? And Alice is like, it's a private conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what you all think. So Ryan, I know that you've talked about this with Cordelia and with Anya. May in our last recording said that she sometimes reads Margo as autistic because she just says things and she's not like, she was like, I don't think she's trying to be an asshole to Alice. That's how she is. Like, she's just talking to her. What do you think? I'm curious what you think.
I was trying so hard not to do this, as I do in every episode. I talk about being autistic and Charmed. Not going to talk about Charmed, but I will say the first episode of this show, which you've all heard a recap of and seen, is Quentin's basically described to Quentin like his depression and like his symptoms, and it's like, you have trouble socializing, you're in your head, and then they're showing flashes of him like talking about his hyperfixations to people he can't connect with, and like they're describing neurodivergence like a low support need level of autism or ADHD, and looking at it through that lens, a lot of the people in this cast, a lot of the like characters, a lot of the setup reflects that. And it kind of makes me feel like the magicians in the school of like X-Men is like X-Men's gay. It feels like, and you could come from anywhere and your parents find out and it's a whole thing and the government's mad. But on this, it feels like, what are you supposed to be doing in life? Like, nobody's going to get it. Your parents aren't going to get it. The people you go to school with are normies and neurotypicals. They're all civilians. They're not going to listen to you talk about phosphoromancy for 1,000 hours. But you know who will? A bunch of other neurodivergent people in this Discord or whatever. And I like that. And I like showing different kinds of neurodivergence too, because the stereotypes about autism are what make my life so much more difficult than the autism itself, because I don't fit that like box or mold of what like an autistic person is supposed to look like in some respects. My interests don't line up, and it's why a lot of women fall through the cracks with autism diagnoses, because like if you become hyperfixated and a nerd about makeup, nobody thinks that you have social deficiencies because you're doing something that's supposedly pro-social and artistic. Right. But like you could just be autistic about that thing, and that's awesome and great, but you should know that. You should be armed with that knowledge, and we don't really do that. Yeah. So yeah, I love Margo as that kind of representation. That's how I read it, but if someone else sees it and is like, this is about feminism, maybe they're right. I don't know. But for me, it is about neurodiversity. Yeah. The whole show is.
Because I've been watching this again, I'm like, oh, Margo actually does, like, she's like at the end of the episode, she's like, but I like competition. She means it, like, right? She's not bullshitting them.
No, I agree. She does. I think she likes competition because she likes not winning, but she likes she does, but I also think she likes the honesty and the directness of it. In competition, everybody knows what everybody's goal is. Everybody's being upfront about what they want or whatever, and unless they're trying to manipulate you, in which case you know what their goal is, so they really can't. And I think she likes the definiteness of all of that. Similar to gossip, I think she likes like getting to the heart of things. Because it's direct, it's honest. And I agree. I actually hate competition, but I do like that when in some kinds of competition, people are really direct and honest and goal oriented, and they cut the bullshit. And I don't find that in other places in my life.
Angela, how do you feel about competition?
I really am only ever in competition with myself to be the best version of me I can be.
Or the HOH, whichever you need to be.
Justin, what do you think of Margo? Do you think she does like Alice, or do you think she's like being shitty?
I think it's a testament to Summer's acting that if this were delivered by someone without as much skill, it could come across wrong.
Yes.
Because I can clearly see that she likes her as a person. The characters like each other. And I just love the fact that she's so good at, the character is so good at reading people, because she just nails her in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And just, I just love her. I love the acting. I love all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I gush to Summer all the time.
King shit, Summer. King shit.
Yes.
So then, and even Quentin is like, Margo probably could help. And then I love Elliot barging in to be like, we have an emergency, we need to go. And it's the book. The wackiness of the books is like reminding us, the show is also kind of goofy, right? Like,
I love it.
Yeah.
It's whimsical and It's what I would want my books to do in their spare time.
Angela, you walk in, you're like, oh, do you need privacy? All right, go ahead.
Make little notepads.
Yeah, and it's like so fucking weird, and I had forgotten about it. And what's funny is Meredith Goldstein, who's also part of this coverage, had been like, she was on for episode 2, and she was like, is that the episode where the books fuck? And I was like, I don't remember that. And then, well, here we are. The books, Because I was
you
thinking,
kids need snacks,
yeah,
a drink, a condom, a slipcover, whatever.
Whatever you do, I'd rather you do it in the house. I do like that. Like Elliot doesn't draw attention to the box at first, and Quentin's like, "All right, but like, what's in that box? It's moving." Then he opens it and it like flies all around. So then we see that. So that's the book that Katie stole, right? Katie stole that book, right? Yeah. In the previous episode when she took the like book and the amulet, which I will own up, I don't remember, which is great because it's like it's the first time. I don't remember what Katie's deal is this season.
Oh.
I like don't fully remember. I remember like a little bit.
Be better when you find out.
Yeah.
So then we see Julia and Marina are practicing. Julia says she has a lot going on, and Marina kind of is like, well, eventually you will get rid of your like real life and stop using it as a backup, and you will focus on your magic, and that will be your real life. And like I know she's being a little harsh, but she's not that incorrect, right? Like Julia's not doing a good job of balancing the two, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Rosie O'Donnell famously said, and it's great advice, if you work with a net, you're going to use the net. I agree. You work with a net, you know it's there. It's when you put it all on the line and whatever. Like, and these are things you can do. Like, you can break up with somebody, you can move on, you can try something new and put your whole ass into it. And it's an age where you got to find that out. I like it.
God, I definitely use the net. Fuck.
As someone going through a divorce, let me just say.
As a person of divorce
I'm gonna be
fine. Oh, fucking Christ.
The book's just fucked.
They haven't fucked yet. It's like the book wants to fuck.
Well, they want to fuck. They're ready to fuck. They're raring to go.
Alice and Margo do have their little talk, but then we see Penny going to a very Angela Rockstar coded magician to like get help with his powers.
So Angela Rockstar coded.
Angela, when she was on, I was like, oh, I'm so glad Angela's gonna be here because I feel like that would be you as a magician. You'd be very chill, very like, here's like sit there.
Yes, I love her. If you need
Patting Penny on the back. He's
just
like,
go
don't touch me.
into-
You're like, oh.
Yeah, I love that Penny's like, could there be less touching? She's not phased. She's just like, okay, this is where you sit. Like,
This is where you
But perfect
cry.
example. Less touching. That's an autism thing.
Fair.
I'll do it.
So he concentrates and then he can hear like screaming, right? And then he ends up where, Ryan?
He ends up. I hate being quizzed like this, Ian. This is so mean. I know. It's just like when you look at me like that, it's like I don't know now. I do this every time.
Justin, where does he end up?
It looks like on top of a building somewhere. I don't. Yeah.
He ends up on a rooftop in like a city somewhere.
But see, this is why when you're quizzing me, I'm like, San Francisco? I don't remember. Were we supposed to see a sign? He's hot somewhere. That's all.
He sure is.
He is. Then we got to Margo and Alice, which I do like this duo of like them having their own side quest. They go to see this woman. I love when the woman goes a turn and Margo's like, don't run. Like, what does she say about her shoes? It's like, these shoes are insane.
Yeah. Felt that. Been
and
there.
I do like that then the woman is like, all right. Like, I like that works.
I would. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, you earned it. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You're
That's what
right.
honesty gets you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I feel like I would appreciate the honesty. So then they kind of sit with this woman. Her name is, I think I wrote
Emily Greenstreet.
Emily, yes. Good memory, Justin.
Oh, I take notes. You remember that.
So they go to get coffee, and she tells Alice that her brother saved her life. She tells them she tried to use a spell to make herself prettier so a professor would love her. And immediately when I heard that, I was like, this would happen to me. This is what I would do. I'd be like, I'm going to make myself hotter. And you all would be like, Ian, this is dangerous. I'd be like, no, it'll work this time. And then melt my fucking face.
See, I would use the ATM spell. Then I would go to a plastic surgeon and say, no personal gain. No personal gain, Prue.
See,
I donated the other money. Fuck off.
Ryan, that's why it'd be good for me to have you there, because you'd be like, well, Ian, the spell won't work out, but just like rob the ATM with your magic and then get non-dangerous.
Go to the experts. Dr. Zismore.
They even asked her, like, did you know it was dangerous? And she says she did. I do like Margo reacting, like seeing Margo be like, oh God. Like she's just like, ugh. And she looks gorgeous.
She's like, you're not hot? Oh.
Not everyone just looks like this? Wild.
Everyone was pretty too, though. Emily Greenstreet, she's like, I could have a slightly smaller nose. And it's like, yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah, like...
They should have got a real Uggo for that part.
All of you have worked in like TV, film. With casting like this, is it like the person has to... Is like that in the casting description? Like, they need to look not as hot as everyone else. Like, is that like...
Homely. I think that's probably what they would use in the casting description.
And then they hire someone hot and they're like, we'll put glasses on you.
Yeah. Glasses, tie your hair
in a
up.
ponytail.
Yeah,
as if that doesn't make most people even hotter, but sure.
Yeah. She tells the story of, she ran to the fountain to take her own life and Charlie followed her. And we see that her face melted and he tries to do a like counter spell, right? Yeah.
Or a vision.
Yeah.
And it kind of just burns him up. And then we learn a very important word for the show. We learn the word Niffin. I feel like there's Buffy taught me a lot of words, and like the Magicians, it's like brings you a lot of like fake things. That's like, you need to remember this word for later. Like,
you need to know this word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone remember that word. But also if you don't, doesn't matter, because there's so many things in the show. As I'm watching, I'm like, I don't fucking remember this. Or when I was watching it live, I'd be like, I don't know what they're referencing, but it's fine. I'm having a good time. Whatever.
See, I'm like, I remember all of this. I wrote it down.
She asks them if they know what a Niffin is. Margo doesn't. Alice does. We learn that it's when the magic consumes you, and that's all that's left is the magic. I do like that when they asked, like, how'd she get her face back? She said the professor did it, and Margo ends it with, well, at least you got his attention after all. Like, fucking shit.
Strategic political thinking.
God.
I like it.
And then we cut to Quentin and Elliot, and they are walking down the street. They are looking for this head witch hideout, which I do think when I first watched the show, and even watching this, I was like, oh, I forgot that break bills and like everyone knows what head witches are. They aren't like secret. It's like all magic people. Like this isn't like a secret community within magicians. It's like, no, everyone knows what they are, right?
Yeah.
You know, in the real magical community, as in the real spiritual practitioners of magic, hedge witches are ones that do exactly what Julia's doing. They kind of take from every different concentrated school of magic. So like if you study Celtic magic, then you might be a Celtic witch. If you study there's different schools and of magic and learning. There's Melchizedek. There's a whole bunch of different schools, and a hedge witch is one that pulls from the different traditions to do their own craft.
I had no idea that wasn't a made-up term.
Magical term. Hedge witch is a real pagan term that like
I did not know that. Huh. I kind of fucking
love that.
Yeah, I love when like any kind of supernatural fantasy shows like brings in like real like terms and like, you know, makes it a little bit more for the show, but I do like that.
No.
Ian's like, appropriate away. No, I actually love this too, because again, with my neurodivergence metaphor that I believe this show is working with, I like that like magpie style, because that's how I feel. Like sometimes people are like, you're a dilettante. And it's like, actually, no, I'm a jack of all trades, which is like a good thing to be. It's better to be a jack of all trades than it is to be of one. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I feel that way a lot of the time with my work. It's like I worked in a million different, like my resume's fucking crazy. My resume's all over the map, literally. But I took something from each of those and I recombined it into like the things I do now. And without knowing all of that, those different fields, and sometimes people ask me for advice on something, and it's like, I'll give it. And I'm like, how do they not know that? And I'm like, oh, because they're extremely specialized in this thing. And I kind of know about that, but they brought me in because I kind of know about it, but I kind of know about everything. And they brought me in for that quality. And you need people like that. Like, and I think the magical community probably hates, like, politically again, and like
Yeah.
economically, it's annoying to them. They're an underclass, but you actually do need people like that.
Yeah, it's when, because of my personal religious beliefs and studies and practices, when I watched this show and I saw that that's how they were doing the hedge witches, I was like, wow, they're like, really, they must have somebody on staff like they did, I feel like, for Buffy with Willow, to actually get some of the, like, as we go on in this show, there's more things that are actually used and tools and things that they incorporate into the show that are actually a part of the religion.
Oh, I love
in
that.
a lot of
I love
ways.
that.
So it's
I do. Angela, do you find that respectful, or do you find it like,
I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it. And maybe, you know, where you could say it's a little appropriating. I like that it slips in the magic. Magic is for those with the eyes to see it. And so it out there, and it'll come at you different ways, and sometimes maybe something like this will inspire you to go look into your spirituality or explore things in a different way. And I love that for everyone, because your personal connection to the divine is so important, however you find it. And I think that if more people kind of like were like, wow, how do I connect to nature, to God, whatever I think God is, or goddess, or just spirit realm, and these kinds of shows really, they add those little hints in the breadcrumbs to lead you different places. So
I like that.
I like it.
I like that outlook. I like that. Yeah. Quentin and Elliot are at the hedge witch place. I fucking love when Elliot, what does he say? Like, one of them offered to blow me for a spell. It was fairly worth it.
Good. He's so good.
He's
I love
yeah.
that character.
It's like Hale Appleman and Summer Bishop, they're like, both of them are always at 100 with their delivery, because the way he kind of trails off and whispers, it's fairly worth it. Like, you know.
Of course I did it, but
Yeah, like but so I was like, oh, they're like kind of cool with these people, because it wasn't like a fight, right? It was like they kind of just went in. It's like they don't like each other, but they're not. Yeah. It was almost like, I don't know how to explain it, but I liked the dynamic of like, oh, they're not like villains. It's just we don't really like them, right? And that for me, that gave it like a little bit more nuance, because I thought that they were supposed to be kind of like the villains, and I like that it's just, no, they're just people who are doing it on their own, and they kind of,
we're secret and blah blah blah, and it's like, no, they don't want you to shut them down, but they're not keeping it. Again, nothing is illegal in magic. Like, have at it, guys.
Ryan, I feel like that's very both of our outlooks on life. It's like, all right, do you, like, whatever.
Have fun.
Get off my porch.
Yeah. And so Julia and Ellie and Quentin have their first like meeting since episode 1 or 2, I think. I do like that. That's awkward too, where they just say like hi, and there's not like they don't like catch up. They don't like explain what's happening. It's just kind of like, yeah. And then the book comes out, and the books fuck, which love it. The books had to fuck. Good for them.
Great.
You got your Dewey in my decimal.
And then Elliot says, "Love wins." Like, I love that.
Great.
And I do want to talk, what do we all think? So then Julia follows them out, and Julia and Quentin have a confrontation where I feel like I kept being like, no, he's right. No, she's right. Ooh, no, he's being a dickhead. Ooh, she's being a dickhead. And I fucking love that. But I like that both of them had different turns at kind of being shitty. Because at first I was like, well, what is Quentin supposed to do? And then when he's like, well, I liked you, and she's like, and you're punishing me for that? It's like, ooh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Because, like, like, so her being like, Quinn, you didn't tell them about me. I'm like, yeah, but come on, girl. Like, he doesn't have any weight at this school. He's a freshman. But then once that happened, I'm like, you know what? What the fuck is she supposed to do about that? Like, she did love him. It wasn't like she was like stringing him along. He was one of her best friends. And so I don't think it's fair for him to just be like, because he liked her, that means she was stringing him along. Because I don't think that's what it was, right?
No. I think everyone's a little right, everyone's a little wrong, as are in all good situations. I don't think he was stringing her along at all, but I also think, like, the truth is, you and your friend can have problems together and not fix them for each other. That's also fine.
Yeah.
To be, like, alongside each other, supportive. If something comes up that, like, I can do for you, great. I cannot cash in favors and run around to ask other people to do something for you. That's actually not me helping you. That's like me running around trying to find someone to help you. If I can lend you help and it's like an actual thing, I'll do it, even if it costs me something. But what I'm not going to do is waste something I have to maybe get a lottery ticket that you could have a conversation.
Right.
Like, that's asking too much, right? But you're at an age and they're so, like, again, hyper fixated, like, people that, like, they're going to let this come between them. And the truth is, like, if you cared about each other, either of you, none of this would matter.
Right,
Who
yes.
was attracted to who and who goes to what school and who. You'd be like, I care about you. I want to see what's best for you. You want to see what's best for me. We're honestly communicating about what we need. If it's incompatible, like, girl, go threaten someone else at the bar. Go threaten Margo. We got magical, endless possibilities and 4 years to do this. So, like, I don't know. To me, I think they're both being really shitty, and that's the headline. Not anything, like, it's good that they both have updates, but I don't think either of them, like, wants the other one to suffer or, like, wants something the other one, like wants the other one to go without. You know what I mean? Like, you want something, I'm not giving it to you. That's not what's happening here.
Yeah.
And it's not a betrayal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what you just said, Ryan, 100%, because it's not, no one's betraying anyone, but they're both acting like the other one is betraying. And I mean, like you said, they're at an age, they're, 22.
You expect your friends to do every fucking thing you ask. You know what I mean? But that's not, So when you're 16, you're like, or when you're 19, you're like, oh, well, could you just pay for it? You have a bunch of money. I don't have any money. And, like, while that logic is fine and sound on a global scale, individual people, you can't be Carrie Bradshaw and be like, give me your old engagement or wedding ring or whatever, and I'll pay for my apartment. Like, that's her ring, you psychopath. Maybe she has, like, an elderly relative or plans for it. I don't like capitalism either, but, like, we're not going to fix it here with Charlotte.
Good sex.
Yeah, I don't know, but if your ring's true to me.
Yeah, yes. I feel like, Kim, who's also doing this coverage, who Angela and Ryan, you've recorded, we've been best friends since she was in 8th grade, I was in 9th. Like, it has been a long time, and we have had those fights. And I do think that's the sign of, like, a real friendship. Like you said, Ryan, where sometimes you don't solve it. It's like, I don't like this. I don't like this. We're good. We got it out and we're good. And
we can be on separate sides of a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they're not Republicans,
right,
if someone just disagrees with you, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, and I mean, right, there was that tweet going around that I was like, God, this is accurate. It was like, remember, if someone doesn't like a movie you like, you should take it personally and attack them, because that's what people do. And it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's okay if we don't like the same movie or show or fucking whatever.
Or it's okay if I can't do you a favor September 1st at my new luxury boarding school. Like, I don't know.
If he was like a tenured staff at this boarding school, it's like, all right, maybe he could try to pull some strings, but, like,
yeah,
I mean,
I'm trying to get Dean Fogg to, like, put him in a different class for an extra credit. He doesn't have that kind of pull. I don't know. Also, you're with your head witches now. Go rock that shit out.
Yeah.
Seems okay, right?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Angela?
I just love how throughout this show, the characters, there's no real good or bad. It's just choices, just like people. And I really, that makes it so real in such a whimsical fantasy world. The characters are just so real. And also, I was going to say, I do agree with everything you guys said, but I do think Quentin is happy to have something that Julia doesn't. Like, I think he is feeling a little himself. Like, He
Fair
likes
enough.
having
That is
he
fair.
does like that a little bit. He does. He is really feeling Quentin, and well, Julia, you know, you do a little party trick. These
Yeah,
people are
that
getting
line killed
light,
me.
honey. Like, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, Quentin,
Ooh.
like, oof. Eh.
That is a good point, Angela. That is a good point.
Yeah,
I agree.
agreed.
I think
That
they
is
would both be a
nasty and
real
catty.
shitty. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And
Uh,
we've all been there, but like on both sides of it. But like, yeah, that is super immature. Like, yeah, you're right.
yeah, yeah. So then we cut back to Penny, and he is lost, but he is picked up by the dean and Professor Sunderland. And I do like that. So we learn that not only is he psychic, but he is they call it traveler, right?
Traveler,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And with like training, he can move between worlds. And I feel like here is where we start to the dean comes into his own because I love how fucking the dean.
So
The
good.
dean,
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever covered, but the dean should have been a gay man because I feel like he's very like biting when he needs to be and is very over all of these students like all the time.
Great. He's such a good
Yeah.
character.
And he's like, if you don't kill yourself first, then he's like, you will study this and you will master this. And then he's like, I cannot see you nod.
Please say yes. Yeah, that was I love that line. I think that was the first time I really liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
love
do
him.
eventually really love him, but yeah.
He's
Yeah.
so good. He
Yeah.
gets so much
I love
just
him.
better and better.
I also like that, like, I don't know. He also seems very like he could be trans masked. He seems so like I've seen it from both sides now. Like Joni Mitchell. He's like, I got it. I like the like world weary, like you kids don't even know. Like I gotta get to a lunch thing about the apocalypse. Like, like I don't know. And it's so easy to hate these interchangeable authority figures, and they usually are like a Giles or a Dumbledore or whatever. And it's easy to like them, it's easy to hate them because they're usually like of a type.
Yeah.
But I like Dean Fogg because you can't pin him down until later, and then it's so fascinating and great and like
Yeah.
layered. So I really think that's fun. Plus
Yeah.
he's like, for an older guy, pretty hot. Like everyone else in the cast.
Yeah.
Got that voice. Speaking
And I
of
do like
Justin, hi Justin. Speaking of voices.
I do love that. What is it? Oh, we're just gonna drive back to Break Bills, and they're like, no, we're already there, and they're fucking there.
There. Boom.
I want that.
Yeah, God. And Elliot is saying Julia was right. You found out who you are. She found out who she's not. I like that Elliot's a little bit like he's being like a little fair to her too. He's not just like fuck her.
Right.
Then we hear Katie trying to get in. So are we supposed to assume that every single time someone comes in, the door is like that, or like sometimes?
Yeah. Yeah, they have to re-break it, but
that would
it's
annoy me
probably magically
so much.
Probably. I actually
I would love that. Blowing up the door as I walk in every time. What an entrance. Again, not to bring it back to Charmed, right? But like that grandfather clock, if it's going to break every week, let's get creative. Let's turn it into a pile of cockroaches. Let's light it on fire. Let's set it upside down. Like that to me would be amazing.
A pile of cockroaches.
Oh, you turned the door into a pile of secrets?
Jesus.
I love that.
Yeah, Katie blows open the door and we cut to Alice and Q. They're discussing Niffins. She shows him a Niffin box. It's wild. These first few episodes, they give such like, they're info dumps, but they're subtle info dumps that are like, you should know this for later, right? Like the last episode, they were talking about the Chatwins and they give like their whole history in like 5 minutes. And I was like, holy shit, I forgot about all of this. But the thing is with this show, and I don't know if you'll all agree with me, it also doesn't matter, right? Like, if it does leave your brain, it's fucking fine. Like, you kind of just go with it, and it's like, these people are hot, I enjoy these characters. Sure, I don't know what they're talking about, but it's fine, I'm having a good time.
And it's another one of those like worlds where the more time you spend in it, the more you're like absorbed.
Yeah.
All of it. And again, yeah, you don't totally need it, but I could see for a lot of people it being a turnoff to get a few episodes in and they're like trying to figure out how everything works. But I also think they do a pretty good job of including some like singing
Yeah.
that reminds you that like it's magic vibe.
and like books
Just
fucking.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think you're right, and like that's why a couple people that I've tried to get into the show have like kind of dropped midway through season 1, or like, and I'm always like, no. Like I appreciate season 1 now. Like I enjoy it, but I definitely like it was a little bit of a slog the first time I went through it.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi has the same issue with like Battlestar Galactica, where they're like, the
Yeah.
audience is savvy, will be fine, but like you're not going after the Sci-Fi Channel audience. You're going after new people to bring to the Sci-Fi
Right.
Channel audience. And Battlestar also is another one. You just push a little bit and you're good. I think there's a little re-entry sickness or whatever, but that's just, if you're not ready to push through it, I actually, maybe it's a great filter, because if you're not ready to push through it, I don't think you're gonna like what you find in a few seasons.
You know, Battlestar Galactica the one that had like 5 spin-offs?
No.
There was one of the, I want to say sci-fi shows that
It
had
had one spinoff.
maybe that's what I'm thinking. There was like one that was like a prequel spinoff, and
Caprica.
Yes, I was going to say Galactica, but Caprica. Yes. And I watched the first 2 episodes and I was so lost I didn't watch anymore, but it's because I hadn't watched the other shit. Yeah. I know.
Okay, Caprica didn't work for a lot of people, but I will say it worked for me. And when you go back and watch it, you're like, oh shit, this was Facebook. Oh, fuck.
Oh, it's Stargate that had a zillion spinoffs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stargate.
did have a lot of
Yeah,
spin-offs.
I didn't watch that one either. But so I know, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's like Star Trek and Star Wars were like my things as a kid, and then I kind of like fell off with like
You're out of stars.
very, very sci-fi things. Now it's like, and I don't like high fantasy either. I say that loving the show, and this show probably would be considered high fantasy, right?
Is it?
Is it
It's like
contemporary?
urban fantasy.
Yeah,
You like
yeah.
urban fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High fantasy is like Game of Thrones.
Okay. Because it's like almost gets there later, but not.
Oh, later, yeah.
Yeah.
It's urban fantasy and high fantasy drag, which is cool.
You know what? That makes sense why I like it. That description is like, oh, that's perfect. That makes sense. Ian likes it.
Julia's Adderall addiction, which she is now using as an excuse for where she's going and what's happening. And she even uses her magic to show that she's been going to treatments and talking to people.
Was that like it was like a 1-year chip, right? That she like makes?
Like
okay.
Thing, yeah.
Because at first I thought it was a hotel key. I was like, wait, why is she fucking imagining a hotel key? Because it kind of looks like one.
She's like, meet me at this hotel. Well, fuck, you'll get over it.
And it'll be great.
I've done it.
Yeah, she kind of gaslights her. Well, not even gaslights, just like fully fucks.
Lies.
Yeah. And like, it's like, but I'm better now. And
I completely forgot about this character.
me too.
Yeah, that's.
I remember where we go with it, but I had forgotten he was,
Oh.
And then Quinn and Alice have decided that they are going to try to bring her brother back. Which I want all of you to know. I looked at the timestamp. There was like 6 minutes left. And I was like, wait, do they have time to bring the brother back? Like, isn't that a whole episode? Because in my brain, this was like a good half chunk of the episode was like the brother coming back and him like wreaking havoc, but it's like 5 minutes.
Is this where they're in the cafe? Or the diner?
They were in the cafe.
Did any of you notice how much sugar she poured into her coffee? It just kept going for like 5 minutes.
I like that you were waiting to talk about that.
Please, because
magical diabetes or whatever.
Angela,
I skipped over the scene you want to talk about. I'm sorry.
Because I love this show, and that is the one thing that I watched when I rewatched this episode so we could talk about it. I was like, oh my God. She just poured the sugar in her cup.
I like that your notes were like deep spiritual musings and also like, that's an inaccurate amount of Meanwhile, I'm like, it's all about autism.
And I'm like, Margo looks pretty. Oh boy.
Killing it.
So they go to the fountain. I do think it's cute that she has to do something personal. So she sings her favorite song that he used to sing to her, and it's Don't Forget About Me from the Breakfast Club. I did think that was cute. I was charmed by her, like, the way she's singing like a real person sings, how it's like, not like pitch perfect or whatever, but it's still like cute. And like, she's a little bit nervous, a little bit scared. Her voice is wavering a little bit. Like I appreciate that. And then her brother comes back, and he is not doing great.
Nope. He's looking like Static Shock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got the bright blue eyes, he's got the smoke coming off of him, and he immediately tries to kill both of them.
Yeah.
And I get it. I feel like this is every like zombie movie has this person who's like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it's like, girl, he's killing Quentin. And you're going to be mad that he like gets rid of him. Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, I get it, right? It's her brother's, but I don't know. It's like, it's clearly a monster version of him who's trying to kill both of you.
And you're the one who like forced him back into this plane of like this dimension without a solution, like a real solution for the niffin of it all. And like, also, Nepo babies, sorry to tell you, sometimes you don't get everything you want. Sometimes people die and your mommy can't make 3 phone calls and bring them back. Tough lesson. I don't know. Like, to me, it just seemed so like, oh, phenomenal cosmic power, infinite resources. I could learn how to and solve world hunger. Like, I could just go do that. Instead, I'm going to do this and then quit and like, fuck you guys if you can't help me. And like, I don't care who I endanger. Like, Alice, you're not exactly like, people don't like that character, and I get it, and it sucks because I like the actress, and I've always thought that, but like, not exactly fucking likable for episode 3.
Yeah.
No, they don't make her likable. It's hard.
Yeah, like I fully forgot about what I remembered the brother of it all, but I like forgot that the outcome is that she's so pissed she's leaving school.
Yeah.
And like, I am a dramatic faggot. She is being more so. Like, it's like, come on. Like,
they also put him in a box. If you're that fucking all powerful, find a way to take him out of the box and put him in a body. If you can't, then what were you planning on doing? It's not like he killed him. He put him in a box.
That's true. Ryan, this is like wasn't it you that brought up like a Willow with Amy and like why doesn't she just ask someone to de-rat her rather than... I've been thinking about that a lot. But yeah, so the guy almost kills them. Quentin puts him back in the box, and Alice is very fuck you. She literally says fuck you, Quentin, and she backs up her shit. We get Margo being like, Alice, what are you doing? And she's like, you'll be happy. I'm leaving. You won't have competition anymore. And she goes, I like competition. And I love that that's it. That's the end. And like, I don't know, not to infringe on your brand, Ryan, but I really can see that. Like, because she's genuinely like, what do you mean? Like, no, I like that. And there's not like
she likes winning. She likes honing her skills. She likes seeing people do their best. And she likes honesty. And competition can give you all those things. I don't like watching people lose. I don't like losing. And I usually think competition's based on circumstances, not who's like best. So I don't find any of it interesting. But she clearly does. And I don't know. She's also a character who like likes some unpleasant things or can be like off-putting or difficult. But she herself isn't unpleasant or like mean or anything. And when she says she likes competition, it seems, again, because Summer makes all this shit work so well. Not shit, but she makes all of this work so well. Is like, you do believe she likes competition, and you do believe she likes it for the right reason.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, you know, like sometimes you see, we've been talking about Drag Race a lot because of Sarah Michelle Gellar's recent star turn. And it's like, sometimes on Drag Race, you see people who are like, I love this, like Bob or Trixie, like I want to win.
Yeah.
And then there are people who you're like, oh, Plain Jane likes this a little too much. There's a little blood on the corner of your mouth, honey. Before you talk about how much you love competition, maybe wipe that up, you know? So like, I love her. I think she just, and I think she also sets a tone for the rest of the show, which is like, rock and roll, bitch, ride the whip. I love that.
I think that's really accurate. They like really like, once I feel like they realized, oh, like Margo and Elliot are fucking like dynamite. And it was like the show kind of like became like faster and quippier and like not in like the way people can't stand the like Marvel stuff with Joss's influence or whatever. I think in like its own way, right? Like I don't think it's like Joss Whedon drag. Like it's
every time
own.
I hate some like fourth wall breaking or like pop culture reference or whatever, every time I think like, every time with the show, a second into it or 30 seconds later, they justify using it in such a way that you're like, yeah, Or it ends up being so delightful, like a musical number, that you're like, yeah.
It's like, okay.
It
hits. All right, we are at the end. Favorite outfit, Ryan?
Oh my god, that's impossible. Margo in the tights with the little bows. Do you know what I'm talking about? She's like coming down the stairs and she's got tights on with the little bows on them and like a little sweater set, and her hair is perfect and bouncy. And all I could think was like, on a million other people, this would be aging or infantilizing. It'd be either Ariana Grande or you look like whatever happened to Baby Jane. And on her, I was like eating. I was like, this is, oh my God. Like it gave everything it needed to give. So like delightful. Love that.
I love that. That's such a good compliment, Ryan. Angela, what was your favorite outfit?
We're gonna go with the psychic teacher. She was hitting with her hair wrap. There was a little bit of purple happening, some tie-dye. She was colorful. It was a look.
All right. Justin?
It would be Katie after she blew up the door and sat on the couch. It was kind of like flowy, airy. I dug that.
Yeah, I did like that. So mine was Margo when they go talk to Emily Greenstreet. Is that who it was, Justin?
Emily, yeah.
When she's wearing she wears it, I didn't notice, but she wears it a lot in the early episodes, like a neon pink blazer, and it looks very cute on her.
Yeah,
and like this tight, this like tight black and white dress, and she's got the hoops, she's got the necklace, and her hair looks fantastic as always. For me, it looks very Puerto Rican, and you know that that gives me a like soft, warm, like I'm like, oh, like that's the jewelry the women in my family wear, so I love it. What was your favorite scene, Angela?
My favorite scene was probably, gosh, they're all good. It's got to be something. That's hard. It's hard because I actually like this episode. And no, I'm going to say that actually by the scene and the way it's done, I really like when Julia's getting the money out and that intro song is fun.
And like a voiceover. Yeah.
It's so pretty. And like, yeah, I like that. I think it's well done.
I said this in the last recording, but like for it being a sci-fi original, I really do think the cinematography, like the like set design, everything is like really great, like impressive.
And the soundtrack.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is really good as it goes along too. It just gets, you're like, oh shit, I used to love this. Like
I feel like, and there's no way they had like a huge budget, right? It's a sci-fi original show, like,
right.
But it doesn't really look cheap, I don't think.
I think it's well done.
Yeah, Ryan?
I like when they're in the bar and Elliot and Margo are on their little side adventure having fun, because I imagine that's what I look like at the bar to people, is like scurrying about, laughing, disappearing, people out trying to tell me things or ask for things, and I'm like, ah! Like, I'm pretty sure that's what I look like at our live events, Ian, and that's what I want.
Justin?
I'm going to go with the Quentin Julia fight outside, because that hurt me. That was so brutal. It was honest, and I loved it.
Justin, same.
You can tell why they cast the actress who plays Julia, despite the fact that she's very lovable and a good actress and blah, blah, blah. Their dynamic doesn't always give best friends, but when they're hurting or they need to really directly communicate, they do feel like they have that like shorthand. And that's a lot of the times people you grow up with, you're great with them about trauma. And in small talk, as you get older, it might get more difficult to like have that spark, you know?
Yeah.
It feels real. I love it.
That's really accurate. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was my favorite scene too, only because of exactly what you said, Justin, because it's like, ooh, my feelings are getting hurt for both of them. And that says a lot, right? Like we care enough to like be like, ooh, that one hurt. What grade do we give this episode, Justin?
You know, looking at it again, I'm going to give it a solid B.
Okay.
It was a good episode, I think.
Okay. Ryan?
I would give this episode a B-, but only because it lacked maybe like a really funny or outrageous scene towards the middle that I think would have picked it up a little bit, given it more life. But they packed so much plot and so many good character moments and a lot of development for the season without you really realizing it into one episode. So like It's only a little ding. It is a solid B episode. I think it could have been a little more fun. But otherwise, loving it, doing a great job, guys.
Okay. Angela?
I'm gonna say B plus. You
Okay.
know, I really like the show. I don't know that I'll go under a B, but at all, I love it. I love it so much. But it was a good episode and definitely had a lot of plot. And it just gets better and better. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, I think I give it a B minus. I do think this show, like, a thing that really helps it is the same thing that helps Buffy, where it's like, even if the like plot's a little whatever, you enjoy the characters and you enjoy watching them. So it's like, all right, that's fine. This part I don't love, but like, oh, there's like you said, there's Margo and Elliot like at the bar. Like, oh, I love it.
Don't worry, there will be
Love
a
it.
lot more plot. You'll find something you like.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for doing this. Thank you all for listening. I am really happy that it is nice to be covering, and I love the things we cover, but this feels different. This feels like, I mean, you know, it still relates to Buffy. And it's like,
Fresher.
yeah, but it's like, yeah, and it's, you know, not Marvel, not Buffy. It's like its own thing, and that is nice. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on all social media platforms at SlayerFestX98. You can find us on all podcasting platforms where you should subscribe to us and maybe give us a good rating if you feel like it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe to our Patreon, which you can get access to a ton of bonus episodes. We're currently covering Buffy Season 3 as each episode turns 25. We've covered Harley Quinn, Firefly, and a bunch of other shit. Also covering Batman the Animated Series. And any and all support is much appreciated. Ryan, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on all the usual places you know how to find people on the internet, but directly go to youtube.com/@Ryho. You might be watching this on YouTube right now. It's @RYHO. I put up long video essays about world problems and how to defeat them. And my next one will be about Catwoman, and I will look like, well, a really dollar store version of Eartha Kitt. So tune in.
Right. I feel like I've been hearing you talk about the Catwoman one for a while now.
It's coming. It's coming. I had to get Halle Berry together, and now we're ready to go.
Okay.
So see you soon.
Angela, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Angela MFN Rockstar, on Twitter or X or whatever that is at Mrs._a Rockstar, even though I'm very single. But I have a boyfriend, but not married, not a Mrs. I'm on TikTok at Angela Rockstar. And you know, maybe in your dreams too, just later.
You're in mine all the time, Angela. Justin, I want you to know, I forgot to tell you this. I've had so many people be like, no, I know Justin, his voice. Like, people, you haven't, because I feel like you're a regular, but you haven't been on that many times, but almost everyone I've mentioned you to has been like, oh yeah, the guy with the good voice. And I'm like, yeah.
Justin has a
Yes,
great
that's
voice.
my job.
Yeah. But where can everyone find you?
You can find me, just Google me, or just go to Justin in Brief on different platforms. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.